friend. We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. And remember, my friend, future events such as these will affect you in the future. You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here. And now, for the first time, we are bringing to you the full story of what happened on that fateful day. We are giving you all the evidence based only on the secret testimony of the miserable souls who survived this terrifying ordeal. The incidents, the places. My friend, we cannot keep this a secret any longer. Let us punish the guilty. Let us reward the innocent. My friend, can your heart stand the shocking facts about outer space?
Welcome, foolish mortals, to Count Gauntly's Horrors from the Public Domain. I am your host, Count Simon Gauntly, and each episode I'll be leading you on a journey through the history of film. Specifically, we'll be exploring that eldritch abyss known as the public domain. These are films forgotten by time or abandoned by their creators. The strange, the horrifying, the poorly and cheaply produced. All of these are the purviews of the public domain. So what are we waiting for? Come, join me in my crypt. It's bigger on the inside. Come, join me.
There lived a man so long ago, Count Gauntly was his name. His horror host abilities had brought him wide acclaim. The people flocked from miles around each Gauntly movie night, not knowing that the films he showed infringed on copyright. Upon discovering this fact and learning it was true, an angry mob of lawyers formed with pitchforks, torches too. They tracked the Count and sought to stop his movie hosting ways, and torches blazing put an end to Gauntly's earthly days. But our man was too resilient to let death be the last word. He stirred, sat up upon his slab and vowed he must be heard. So he stocked his tomb with gadgets from the local studio, intent on showing movies on an awesome TV show. But he had to find a legal way, so Gauntly racked his brain. 'Twas then he learned of something called the public domain. Now here he is, the time has come, his dreams are coming true. Count Gauntly's here to share a film in hopes that you won't sue.
I've got sense disturbance here.
A disturbance?
What is?
What's up?
This is like more refined edges of TV.
Different edges? I don't think... Nothing's different. No, nothing's different. Just sit down. Well, at least I don't think. It seems pretty same old, same old. How are you feeling, critic?
I agree. It seems perhaps a bit crisper, but overall it's similar definition.
Yeah. I mean, if you were to look up in the dictionary a word to describe how we're feeling right now, a definition, what would you say?
I would say melancholy.
Yeah, that sounds about right. How are you feeling, Angrat?
Melancholy definition, MD.
We're shooting an MD for sure. So, we got to do something to break this cycle of lacrimosity. And why should we be an MD at all? We should be at least in happy definition.
HD, perhaps?
That's what I'm aiming for. So I think the way to kind of elevate ourselves, to get to that better place emotionally, psychologically, we gotta just kind of stretch our horizons, and I've got something that I think will do just that. So Ograt, if you could go off there, see I've got set up out there, just grab that and come back. Oh, you're gonna like this monster, and you, sir, I think you'll appreciate it too. The monster seems to have a friend.
His big thing. What is big thing?
Oh well, here, set that up here. Let's get those legs spread, and here it's a telescope.
Telescope? Like a telephone?
Indeed. So you can see things far away. So look, I'm gonna want you to look, Ograt. Take a look at that.
Oh! Do you see the final frontier?
It's terrifying. Ograt cannot handle such change.
What did you see?
I saw a strange place with creatures dressed in sparkly colors.
Okay, and what about over there? What do you see over there?
Many flying rocks with eyes and tentacles.
Wow. You see, the universe is full of amazing things. You want to take a peek here, critic?
Oh,
here,
absolutely.
just lean over. There you go. Now, what do you see?
Oh, I see the great and far beyond. It's dark and light at the same time.
Indeed. So now, Ograt, you look at one more thing, too. Is it great? What do you think? Oh, wow. So while we are looking at the wonders of space here, you can look at this at home.
Hold it. That thing'll never go anywhere. You forgot one of the stages. There. Now you can launch it. Uncle Bill works with rockets. Jane, Bob, and Mike don't quite understand why rockets have to be fired in different stages. Uncle Bill explains that not all of them do. Just some of the big rockets that use liquid fuels. They need a vast amount of fuel to pull away from the Earth's gravity field. Rocket-propelled planes have been built, designed to take a man up to very high altitudes. To overcome the effect of gravity, the rocket plane is carried to high altitude by a large transport plane. If the cruiser were launched directly from the ground, much of its fuel would be used up in pulling away from the Earth's gravity field, which is strongest at the surface of the Earth. This makes the rocket plane the same in principle as the last stage of a multi-stage rocket. Both must be well away from the surface of the Earth before they are fired.
20 seconds to launch. 15 seconds. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
For probing deeper into space, scientists have proposed another way of overcoming the problems of fuel and gravity. They propose space platforms, or way stations in space. Like the transport plane and the first stages of a multistage rocket, the way stations would provide a base from which a rocket may be launched. Various forms have been suggested, but a space station might look something like this. Such a space station might be built about 1,075 miles above the surface of the Earth. If it were farther out, it would be more difficult to send supplies. If it were closer, it would revolve around the Earth too quickly. It would, however, have to move fast enough to avoid being pulled down to the Earth by gravity. The Earth's gravity still pulls the station, of course, but the direction of the pull is changed by the satellite's forward motion. Instead of falling to the surface of the Earth, it keeps falling around the Earth. Station parts may be prefabricated on Earth, then delivered into orbit by transport rockets and assembled in space. Crewmen will arrive in the same orbit and travel at the same speed to carry out construction. The sections of the space station will be nearly weightless, and one man will be able to move objects that had to be lifted by huge cranes back on Earth. The men will be nearly weightless too, and will have small propulsion units attached to their spacesuits to help them move about. On the inside, the completed station would have to have its own artificial atmosphere. There would be very little pull of gravity to hold objects and people in place. To substitute for gravity, the station may be made to spin like a giant wheel. This would create centrifugal force and would give the occupants a feeling of gravity. They would be thrust outward toward the rim of the station. This would be down to them. Up would be toward the hub of the station. The way station may also be used for a research laboratory and for testing equipment for a journey farther into space. Besides the problems of getting into space, we also have the problem of returning to the Earth from space. As a rocket approaches the Earth from space, it gathers speed. It also meets increased friction as the atmosphere becomes more dense closer to the Earth. Friction causes the rocket to become so hot that it burns up like a small meteor. Once we solve all these problems about space stations, Jane wonders why we couldn't put one on the moon. And we could. You might say that the moon is a ready-made way station in space. The moon is about 240,000 miles away, about as far as 10 trips around the Earth. To get 1,000 miles from the Earth, a rocket would need this much power. To get to the moon, a rocket would need just a little bit more. Landing on the moon will have its problems. The moon has little or no atmosphere, so friction and heat would not be a major problem. But the moon does have a gravity field, although it is not nearly as powerful as the gravity field of the Earth. A spaceship would approach the moon at high speed. Small rockets could be used to turn the base of the ship toward the moon. Other rockets would fire out of the base to slow down the spacecraft so that it could make a safe landing. The surface of the moon is quite different from that of the Earth. It is covered with large pits or craters. These may be places where large meteors collided with the moon in times past. In addition to craters, there are mountains, crevices, plains, and plateaus. During the day, which on the moon is equal to about 2 Earth weeks, the temperature goes over 200 degrees Fahrenheit. And during the long 2-week night, it goes as low as about 250 degrees below zero. To escape the extreme temperatures, the moon station would probably be underground, where the temperature remains more moderate. It would need a source of power. Green plants might be used to produce oxygen within the station. The station would have to be sealed to retain its artificial atmosphere. Probably the only parts of the station on the surface would be observation domes, entrance ports, and radio antenna. Taking off from a moon base, a space vehicle would not have to pass through a dense atmosphere. It would only have to pull away from the moon's comparatively weak gravity field. It could then head for Mars. At rocket speed, cruising through the very thin gas that appears to fill space, it would take many months to get to Mars. We would probably find some sort of atmosphere on Mars, but not an atmosphere like our own. If other planets, more like our own, exist, they are unknown planets of other suns far out in the universe. The star or sun nearest to our own is about 25 trillion miles away. It would take far more than a human lifetime to travel this distance at present rocket speeds. We have seen that one problem in reaching space is to escape from the Earth's gravity field. A great amount of energy is required to escape from this pull. Another important problem is re-entering the Earth's atmosphere at low enough speed so that friction is not too great. Too much friction causes too much heat. Man-made space stations in nearby space might go far toward overcoming the effect of gravity. Such stations would orbit the Earth like satellites and could serve as taking-off points for more distant places. The moon might also serve as a way station. A rocket with enough power to pull away from the Earth would require only slightly more energy to carry it to the moon. Small rockets can be used to turn a spacecraft while it is in flight. Braking rockets may serve to slow it down enough to make safe approaches and landings possible. The moon might serve as a taking-off point for other planets in our own solar system. A space vehicle could pull away from the moon's weak gravity field easily enough. From there, man could go on to the other planets. Mars is the one most like our own. Even so, it is doubtful that living things like those we know exist on Mars. If other planets more like our Earth exist, they must be planets of other suns that are trillions of miles away. There is so much we can learn in the universe. It is the frontier of the future. And way stations in space are the stepping stones for its exploration.
There you have it, a little snippet of the wonders of the universe. What'd you think of that, Ograt?
Very interesting. So that's where we go?
Go? Ooh, now there's an idea.
We move crypt.
Or That might be a little difficult. It might be easier to just move us to, although space is kind of far away. What's your take on a possible space venture, critic?
I've always dreamed of going to the outer spaces, for the inner spaces are just wearing me down.
Indeed. The inner spaces are pedestrian, I feel.
Not for us.
No. We perambulated all our lives upon this terrestrial sphere. Time to break the surly bonds of Earth, I say.
Hello, peasants.
Every time.
That's better. Hello, Gauntly.
Hello, glorious leader. What brings you nigh?
I was bored.
Us too, right?
Yeah?
Yeah,
Too much
for
inner
real.
Space.
Inner space? You know there's outer space.
We were just discussing that, Matt.
Yeah, Tiberia has been there. Tiberia has conquered all of outer space.
All of it. How has the East Tiberian space program gone?
Good.
Good. Tell us of its history.
Well, Tiberia has great resources to make many missiles. Lots and lots of missiles.
Okay.
Is different challenge when you have people on the missiles that need to stay alive. So we work pretty hard to create missiles that don't blow up, if you can understand that. And we got far enough into space that we conquered it all.
Great.
Yes.
Did you ever send an animal up?
Yes, a lot.
What sorts?
Orangutans, chimps, zebras, grandmothers.
A whole bestiary.
Yeah, yes. It's like a floating zoo. Yes.
Veritable Noah's Ark.
Whoever Noah is.
That sounds just fantastic. So if you could go one place in space, what would you pick? What's the money shot that we're aiming for up there in the cosmos?
Best place in the universe is best place for children, which are the chalk mines on the moon. The big white thing.
So that they can write in the classrooms.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Yes, I own the moon.
Do you really?
Not yet, but soon.
Okay. So, that really sounds spectacular. What do you think, Ograt?
Well, moon is all and well, but we spent all of generic currency units on new telescope, new cameras that do nothing. No, we cannot go to moon with no money.
Oh, that's right. You can help us out on that front, glorious leader?
Tiberia is a little strapped for rubles right now, but perhaps maybe some other time.
I have just the idea, friends. I couldn't help but overhear you talking about your moon troubles while I was collecting various animals in the darker reaches of the crypts. Kind of creepy. Watch out. But I have just the solution, my friends. We don't need to spend a dime to go to the moon. We can use our imaginations and a little bit of claymation, perhaps even paper mache. Your Miss Unicycle right here, to go to the moon ourselves. A fake way, just like they did in the 60s.
Through the window of the Eagle, Armstrong and Aldrin see what no human eyes have ever seen before. Their spacecraft casts a long shadow across the undisturbed dust of centuries. Seven hours after landing, after careful preparations for later ascent were completed, Armstrong opens the Eagle hatch and begins his climb down to the surface. The first footsteps on this strange new world must be taken cautiously. The moon has only 1/6 the gravity of Earth. The nature of its surface was still unknown.
And they'll step off the limb now. It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Once on the surface, Armstrong scoops up a small sample of lunar dust and rock, precaution against the possibility of an emergency takeoff. According to plan, astronaut Aldrin now descends from the Eagle. He and his equipment would weigh 383 pounds on Earth. Here, they weigh about 66 pounds. For a brief moment, the first men on the moon stand and look at the stark, lonely landscape around them, an experience which no one before them can share. But there is much to be done in the limited time which they can stay on this airless, cloudless satellite of Earth. This sheet of metal foil traps and holds particles from the sun, the so-called solar wind, or barrage of solar energy, which constantly strikes the moon's surface. Results of this experiment will be taken back to Earth to reveal new secrets to anxious scientists. An American flag is left behind on the moon, together with medals honoring American and Soviet spacemen who lost their lives in earlier space tests, and a small disc carrying messages of goodwill from 73 nations on Earth. A plaque on the lunar module reads, "Here, men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon, July 1969 AD. We came in peace for all mankind." Through a specially made television camera, viewers in many nations on Earth were able to watch the astronauts as they walked and worked on the moon. Despite the bulky spacesuits and the backpacks containing oxygen, temperature control, and communications equipment, the Apollo 11 crew found they could move easily about the surface. Because there is no wind or rain on the moon, these footprints will remain for centuries. In addition to collecting rock and soil samples, the explorers leave behind a seismometer. This highly sensitive device would send back valuable information on external meteoroid impacts, as well as internal lunar movements. A 100-prism laser reflector would help man to measure the exact distance from Earth to Moon to an accuracy of 6 inches. These were the first of many experiments which will be taken to the Moon to provide man continuing and increasing knowledge about the Moon and the vastness of space beyond. After 2 hours and 31 minutes, the first lunar explorers had completed their research on the moon. A night of rest in the lunar module, countdown preparations, and they were ready to come home.
Tranquility Base, Houston. Guidance recommendation is pings, and you're cleared for takeoff. Roger, understand. We're number 1 on the runway. 7, 6, 5, work stage, engine arm ascent.
Okay, guys, here we are. We're ready to fake the moon landing as per Freak Slice's suggestion. So, first thing that we need, what do you think we need, Freak Slice?
We need space.
We do need space. It's dark in space.
Yeah.
Let's get that black curtain around.
Yeah.
Blair Slater, hook that up.
Excellent.
Bring that around. Start pushing that around. Okay, great.
Pull the space.
Get nice and dark. Cover up those crypt walls. We want people to know this is not the crypt. This is, in fact, the depths of darkest space.
It's cold.
Woo-hoo.
Forgot my jacket.
All right, and of course we need a craft that got us here, right? So we need some way of disguising the background, some kind of like green screen or blue screen or something, anything like that.
Yeah, blue's way better.
Back there, Ray Samban,
whoa,
monster.
Whoa. Yes.
Spread that out.
Awesome.
Blue side, there we go.
This is excellent. Going swimmingly.
Okay, get out nice and straight because we want this to be convincing.
Yeah,
there
just like
we
JFK
go.
had it. Yeah, I watched a documentary about this, man.
Talk us through it.
Well, basically, they put a screen up in front of space, and then, well, we need a spacecraft now because that's everyone's seen the movies.
Yes, of
where
course.
the
So
aliens come.
So I'll project some spacecraft, some space paraphernalia up there. I'm sure they'll enjoy that. And actually, we need some real authenticity. So let's get some lander legs in there, okay?
Lander legs.
All right, you go.
Genius.
Take care of that. Bring those in.
What's a lander?
It's a little craft that comes down on the moon. At least that's what I've heard. I mean,
Sounds legit.
I know it was all part of the ruse.
Right, right. I wouldn't know because it was fake, so.
Right.
Whatever. Here, Brunina, just chill out here. First rat in space, folks.
Okay, so I can snap that into place, make it real convincing. Okay, guys, we set the scene. We're on the moon. Take it in. In fact, I think who else wants to be the first people to step on the moon?
I should be first.
Okay, all right. So let's block it out here. What about you, Freak Slice? You're the man with the plan. You wanna?
Well, we need the blue.
Okay, yeah, straighten that out. Absolutely.
Monster, come on.
Keep that going.
Come on. All right, cool. Thank you.
It's all right. It's all right.
Just for a little bit, we gotta pretend. Use your imaginations, guys. All right. So, am I Neil Armstrong or am I Buzz Aldrin?
You can be either, man.
Yes.
We're here to stake our claim. We're here as us. Man.
Yes.
We're here experiencing this for the first time, being space travelers. We're space travelers. You can see it. You saw it here.
Yeah.
Is completely
Okay,
real.
so let's step out onto the surface of the moon there and bounce around. Bounce around because gravity is low. Whoa, we sure are on the moon.
Whoa, I tripped on a moon rock. Whoa.
Whoa.
This moon is so real
Whoa.
and white.
One giant step for Count Gauntly, one small leap for Fairfax
Look at this
Public
oven.
Access.
This oven. This is not authentic. Who are we kidding? This is no.
Gauntly.
No.
What?
No.
Oh, come on.
This is false. This is a mistruth. We're a falsification.
The U.S. is okay with it.
This is just artifice, malarkey. We
I'm
can't.
just having fun with this. Come on.
Oh, but
I'm Buzz Aldrin.
how is this?
Look at me.
How is this a real experience? How does this show the people at
just-
home the wonders of exploration? There's real wonder to be had out there. And at any rate, I mean, this fake, I feel, is not convincing. That's the real crux of my argument: is who is going to be fooled? I'm not fooled.
I'm not fool. You're a fool.
See, you're all fools. Wait. Oh, so what I'm suggesting, even if Freak Slice is not going to be a part of it, is, I don't think we can fake this convincingly. Maybe they did it in the 60s, but that was on a NASA budget. They had a lot of money to spend on fakery and chicanery.
Moon rocks.
Indeed. And so, We just don't have that budget. I think what we're going to have to do is just go there ourselves. For real.
Well,
How do you get to the moon?
Ograt, remember, I think Ograt sells soul for spaceship some 2-3 years back.
That does sound familiar, although I could have sworn it was my soul that I sold.
It could have been both.
It could have been, because either one of our souls by itself, not worth all that much, so.
You're saying that you have a navigable spacecraft to get to moon?
Yeah, it's worth 2 souls.
Huh.
2 soul space.
Yeah.
I should
It's a pretty
invest
cool rocket, though. Very, very much worth the soul expenditure. So let's go! Come on. To the moon! Bang! Zoom! To the moon. You guys can come too. Come on.
Plenty of moon rocks to go around.
All right, here we are aboard our great rocket ship. We've got our helmets on because you need helmets to go to space. Now here we are, drifting in the weightlessness of the cosmos on our way to the moon. Whoa! Here we go! Ha ha ha! Whoa! Out on the surface of the moon! Here we go! Whoa! Whoa! What's this I see? Everyone, here, bounce this way and look! Look at what's behind us! I dare say it's the actual moon lander! A real one here on the real moon! And of all things, an American flag. Look at it billow! Look at it billow and wave! It's breathtaking. It's getting really into it. Oh, so patriotic.
Such a small flag. Tiberia has bigger flags.
Yes, well, you know what? What this demonstrates, everybody, is that even the government found it so hard to fake a moon landing and so expensive and time-consuming that they actually had to come here. So we're not alone. What thoughts do you have on this monumentous occasion, Ograt, as we stand here on our largest natural satellite?
Ograt ready for dinner.
Fair enough.
Welcome, welcome. I see that you have found my little secret.
It's Governor Thelonious.
Yes, you're quite right. That was no fake landing. Now that I think about it, it's been about 50 moon years that I've been governor of this establishment right here. And
what? Whoa! Back up there.
Governor of the moon? No,
This
Tiberia.
is where you're governor of?
yes, I kid you not. But I'm afraid it's not all fun and games. We have a problem here. Security, grab the glorious leader.
Hey,
Now that you have found my secret, I'm afraid I can't let you leave.
No.
This is our nation, and we need to keep people like him away from it.
Tiberia owns the moon. I created the moon for my people. I own it.
Wait a second.
It is mine.
You're saying you're defending the claim of America on the moon?
Yes, for all this time, and
You guys,
Freak slice.
what's up? Welcome to the moon.
you're back.
Oh,
I
hey,
am.
Hippie.
How did you get here?
Well, turns out, guys, that I knew about this actual moon landing the whole time. Ha! In your faces. My ruse was a fake out for a ruse for a fake out, and here we are on the actual moon. Look at this evidence of humanity's capability to work together to put the dream team together and make a moon landing actually happen. Now, think about it, friends. Should we try to trifly fight over who gets to own what part of space, or should we just work together and explore the universe with freedom and love for all of humanity and any aliens that we might run into? There might be some cool aliens out there. I mean, that's my take on this whole shebang.
I already conquered space. There's nothing there.
You did no such thing.
I own the moon. I made it.
Do you know how much space there is? There's a lot of space.
Lots.
I'm with this hero and this beautiful man, Freak Slice. I feel as if we should subscribe to his philosophies. They're inspiring.
Just comment, and subscribe.
The exploration of the moon and all of space really should be open to those willing to seek it out and go to that public domain final frontier.
No.
They seem unconvinced. Well, the glorious leader of East Tiberia and Governor Thelonious of the Moon are working out the differences. You can learn some more about space. Here you go. We'll try to sort this out.
The International Space Station is without doubt one of the most amazing structures ever built. Orbiting Earth some 242 miles above us, its stated goal is to teach us how to live in space for long periods of time. Although there are many areas of scientific study being researched, one of the most important is food technology. Understanding how the human body interacts with food in microgravity will be one of several key questions that need to be answered when we travel outside of Earth's orbit for long periods of time. Who better to ask about food in space than an astronaut who spent over a year on both the ISS and the Mir eating a variety of different foods? Astronaut Mike Full will give us a skinny on what it's like to live in space and to find out how it works.
Eating in space is a treat. Basically, you get hungry, you get thirsty just like we do on Earth. I think after the first day in space, when you get launched to space, your stomach lifts up a little bit as you float. And so for the very first hours after arrival in space, there isn't a desire to eat. And that is because you're finding some vestibular issues, some nausea. But those pass, and they pass pretty quickly. In my case, 2 or 3 hours. After about 2 orbits, an orbit is 1.5 hours, 90 minutes. After about 2 or 3 orbits, you're starting to get ready to take off your spacesuit that you used to launch into space. In my last flight, it was on a Soyuz rocket. You get out of this cramped space, stretch out, you change clothes into something soft, not this bulky, awkward spacesuit. And then you think about eating. There are many different types of food fare, in space. On the Soyuz rocket, which is probably the most meager food cuisine I've come across in my career, the Soyuz simply has dried foods and juices. This food is really not made for a real meal. However, it's enough to get us by for the 2 days it takes to get to the International Space Station.
I have a turkey with cran apple and cranberry sauce.
We get to space station after 2 days, and it's a wonderful, wonderful sight. Because you know, not only there are friends there, there's more places to stretch out and move about, big windows, but there's also food, real food, and they're talking to you about it. You know, they're saying, "Hey, what should we put on for you?" And the first thing that came to my mind was I remembered my experience of the Russian foods and American foods that we shared, 50-50.
Where we keep our food. The red boxes are Russian food. The blue boxes are American food. Why do we have so few American boxes? Well, that's a good question. I'm not sure what I'm going to have tonight, but I think it's going to be American. Got chocolate pudding cake. Not sure I want that just yet. I don't know. Try something else.
One of the worst things to eat in space, but they still keep sending it, both Americans and Russians, they send crackers. And you eat crackers and they go and you have all these crumbs flying out. And the whole issue is to somehow put the cracker into your mouth and then sort of seal your lips around it. And then crunch on it so the crumbs don't explode out of your mouth.
Tell me, does food in space taste differently than it does here on Earth?
The whole issue of taste in space is one of, I think, research. In my personal experience, I don't believe my sensation of taste really changes in space. I did notice on my first long-duration flight on the space station Mir, over time I started to want or crave salty foods more.
So Mike, when it's time to eat, do you guys, all get together at the table, or do you sit by yourself? What's the procedure?
Well, the most important thing I think anybody does in a day is eat. And what do? We're social creatures, human beings, and we like to eat together. And that's where social events normally occur, is around food or drink. Same is true in space. And as the commander of the International Space Station, I understood very, very clearly that I was not going to let us, just two of us for most of the time, Sasha, Kaleri, and myself, eat at different times. Because then we would start to come apart, we wouldn't understand it, there wouldn't be the exchange, it would just be very, very poor. It's hard enough living for 6.5 months in a small space with only one other person far away from everybody else. So I said, Sash, we're going to have breakfast, we're going to have maybe, you know, a coffee break about 11, then we're going to go to lunch, and we're going to have fixed lunch, and we're not going to let the ground bother us, and we're going to make it clear to the ground we don't want to be bothered. Then we're going to go to tea at about like 4, and then we go to evening meal at about 7. And sure enough, we then got this routine going. This is a good example of a space shuttle tray, not often used, simply because the tray really is designed to hold your food. Now here in front of you, it's very convenient for me to just hold the implements that I would use to talk about eating. But actually on the International Space Station, or indeed on the Space Shuttle, there's so much Velcro patches around that you can always use the same food implements or items to simply stick your food to whatever Velcro is near you. And any wall, any surface generally has some Velcro nearby. And it attaches just with a little Velcro circle. They always make a point on this space station or on the Space Shuttle to have hook Velcro on the items that you would attach. And they always have pile Velcro on the walls. Pile is softer, it doesn't scratch your skin for one thing, so it's just more comfortable to be around everywhere. And then you make hook Velcro, the stuff that's just kind of small and specific. And so I'm holding right here minestrone soup. Notice there's a barcode. There's also soup minestrone, which is in Russian, and I read that for you. The barcode is used in the case that we have to do any food logging experiments. They know exactly how many calories, what the food value is of this packet, and we have food specialists who know exactly what's in this, all the vitamins, all the calories, fats, etc., and cholesterols. If we're going to drink water, for example, we would still log it, even though there's no calories in it. We would scan the packet, and we'd fill it with the right amount of water.
So we've been talking about all this food. I mean, how do you control your weight in orbit?
Obviously, you eat more or you eat less, and your weight will change. In space, the initial reaction, the first 2 days, is for you to go to the toilet a lot, and you lose a lot of fluids. You probably lose 5 to 10 pounds just in the first 2 days, just through fluid loss. And a lot of the fluid is coming from your legs. It's also shifting up into your upper body. And that's why when you see people on television from space, they kind of have slightly puffed up cheeks. I do believe we actually lose that fluid shift somewhat in our faces, because we basically just lost fluid. So that's a change in the body, and so you have lost weight at that point. And we measure our mass every 2 weeks. And the first month of my flight, we talk to our flight surgeons, our doctors, every week about how things are going, and generally it's always a, how you doing, you know, nothing's wrong, etc. They want us to eat enough so that our mass, our weight on Earth, stays the same. And they know that when you come back to Earth, those astronauts, and we've had many different types of flight, many different cases, those astronauts that have not kept their weight on orbit, but have lost weight, do very poorly recovering on Earth. They don't get the fluids back into their body quick enough, they aren't strong enough to move around easily. So I was being told by my flight surgeon, Mike, eat. And I went, yes, I will. So it was simply a license to eat.
So that's how it works. So if you're into really expensive takeout, I got the stuff for you. Minestrone.
Well, after that very educating, edifying, enlightening film, do you feel any different? Governor Thelonious and generous leader, glorious leader, I meant. It's never been about the generous for you.
I mean, I'm willing to make a trade. If we can get the freedom to travel anywhere in space, I'm willing to share some space with Tiberia.
Fine.
Well,
if Tiberia must share empty void of nothing with fascist capitalist country, then so be it.
Well, you mean you're actually willing to open diplomacy? Wow, we didn't even need to play anything yet. But we can play something now in celebration.
Yes, I love music.
Gauntly on theremin, Ograt on, what have you got there, Ograt?
A tinky tonk.
A tinky tonk. Well, let's do this. The Song of Space Celebration, let's go.
Splendid.
Yes, I'm pleased with it. This was quite a journey into the outer realms of the ether sphere, if I do say so myself.
Ether.
Indeed. Any final words on how this trip has changed us? What has it taught us?
This is no longer melancholy definition, but euphoria definition.
Indeed. I feel my spirits heightened.
ED.
We're very nearly there. Yes, exactly.
It's hard to believe but true, but moon landing is Gauntly's best thing.
It might just be. I can think of fewer best things than we've ever had than this.
Best thing.
Yes. And, while we've certainly enjoyed our trip here, we hope that this month is your best thing, and that you return in March to join us once again here at Count Gauntly's Horrors from the Public Domain, and, as always, pleasant nightmares.
You have seen this incident based on sworn testimony. Can you prove that it didn't happen? Perhaps on your way home, someone will pass you in the dark, and you will never know it, for they will be from outer space. Many scientists believe that another world is watching us this moment. We once laughed at the horseless carriage, the airplane, the telephone, the electric light, vitamins, radio, and even television. And now some of us laugh at outer space. God help us in the future.
Da